Hello there, welcome back. Glad to see you, or glad that you're watching this. You probably remember back from your school days where you would be given an assignment by a teacher, and it would be a more weighted assignment. So it'd be like a term paper or a big project or something that was meant to take up a lot of time, be worth a lot of your grade. And if you were like me, I had a couple of these experiences where I would be given, like a teacher would give that style of an assignment, but would give virtually no instruction at all. And so you're left wondering, like, how am I supposed to do this? What exactly am I supposed to be doing? And that was always really frustrating for me, who I was always the person who was willing to do the work and willing to like abide by like whatever the rules are for the project. You've just got to tell me what it is. I think sometimes we can approach faith and we can approach following Jesus like, kind of like that. Like, do we really have the right instructions? And the good part is that if we'll actually read the Bible, especially if we'll read the Gospels, a lot of what God would have us do, Jesus would have us do as we're following him, he's going to explain to us, he's going to teach us about it, he's going to give us examples for it. So all this month of July, we've been looking at these instances where Jesus is teaching his followers what things he wants us to know. He's being very clear in his instruction. So we talked about Jesus teaching on what it means to follow him. He's not just saying, come follow me and figure out some of what that means along the way. It's like, follow me, and this is some of what that means right now up front. Like, I'll tell you up front what that's going to mean. Today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about prayer and how Jesus instructed and taught his people, us, to pray. Now, normally when we talk about how to pray, we're going to go to the Lord's Prayer, and we're going to go to Matthew chapter 6. We're going to go to the Lord's Prayer, but we're actually going to do it from the equivalent passage in Luke chapter 11, where it's, again, it's the same bones of the prayer. It's just there's subtle differences in the actual Lord's Prayer itself, but there's also a different teaching aspect to it after Jesus models that prayer. So I'd encourage you to go and read Luke chapter 11. There's also going to be a little section of Luke chapter 18 that you're going to want to read that's going to talk about just the idea of praying with persistence. The big thing I want to convey to you today, and that I would encourage you as you're teaching your own family about prayer this week, is really thinking hard about what your priorities are when you pray. I think our default prayer mode is to ask for stuff, right? And that's not always bad. We ask for God to heal the sick people in our lives. We ask for God to provide new jobs and God to provide this and that. And none of that is wrong. But what I would say is, in my experience, when you have a time of prayer with people and you're taking prayer requests, that tends to be a lot of what the prayer requests are. And if you listen to the content of a lot of people's prayers, that tends to be where a lot of the focus is. And I think Jesus models a different kind of prayer priority structure. A lot of Jesus' prayers do focus on, first and foremost, like giving glory to God. So when he says, like, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, like he's starting off like, God, you're so great, like you deserve all the praise. And he kind of keeps circling back to talking about God's goodness and God's glory. So I think in our own prayer lives, that needs to be a thing that we're more intentional about, is giving glory to God in our communication with him, giving praise to God in our communication with him. In these passages, Jesus is going to teach about like asking God to move, asking God to intervene. We can talk about that as intercession on behalf of other people. You know, God, my grandfather isn't doing well, please heal him. Or something for us, God, I need a new job. That's not me saying, it's like, like right now in this climate, that is a lot of what people are praying for. And there is, like Jesus, like, no, like, ask for what you need, and ask for what your heart is desiring. And I think the other kind of big thing that Jesus tries to teach in these passages is this idea of seeking God through prayer. The idea, again, you could probably talk about it as persistence. The idea of if you've got that need, or you're hoping to see God move, or there's this person in your life who you want to come to faith, just keep saying, like, seek me and you will find me, ask and it will be given to you, like, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. I think that's one thing that I'm certainly guilty of with prayer, and I would imagine some of you are as well, is that I will pray for things, but if I don't see pretty quick results, I tend to be not forgetful, but I just kind of like let that thing drop off my prayer radar, whatever it is. And so I think Jesus is modeling a persistence of prayer, or encouraging us to do persistent prayer, to keep seeking God on those things until God answers, because God does hear and God does care. That's another thing that Jesus emphasizes in these passages. Like, if you're going to ask God, like, God is a good dad who hears his kids when they talk to him and is going to respond appropriately. He used the example, like, if you who are evil and sinful know how to give good gifts to your kids, how much more will a perfect Father who is in heaven do the same? So that's kind of just a really simple overview. I definitely encourage you to go and read those passages this week. For your kids, your younger kids, we're going to focus on just simply like that Jesus taught people how to pray. Again, wanting to teach our kids that Jesus isn't being ambiguous when he's asking us to do things, but most of the time he's saying, do this thing, here's how to do the thing. With students this week, we're going to talk about what a life of prayer should look like, is that you're praying with persistence and a dependence on God and a focus on God's glory. Again, just the idea of, like, we're dependent on you, God, and we're going to keep coming to you with this request until you answer us one way or the other. So I hope this is encouraging to you this week. I know prayer time with my family each night is a special time where I get to hear the hearts of my kids as they're asking God for things and they're thanking God for things. And so pray that this week you would make the prayer time for your family a priority. And until I see you in person or I see you in the next video, God bless.